So, we've created a repository. It has our license in it. Here it is. It has the README, which just says the name right now. And, well, now what? Now we want to put some stuff in here. So this is where, actually, well, let's add a file from here, let's say. So there's a little add file button here, and let's just make something simple. So it's going to ask for the contents of the file. I don't know. I'm just going to say just random letters. And it wants the name of the file. Let's just put gg.txt. Then there's, whenever you make a file, there's two steps. You have to commit it to the repository, and then you have to push it. So first, it says commit changes. It's always going to ask for a message when you commit, so it gives me this one by default, which is fine. And then when I hit commit, since I'm on the website, it'll automatically push as well. And now here we go. Here's our file. We can click on it. There's the text we put in, and voila. But let's say this was a project. Let's say you wanted this on your computer, not just on the GitHub website. How would you do that? I'm going to show you two ways to do it. First is through the terminal or console on Windows. So the first thing you're going to do is do git double, is that not it? Or even git help. Just to make sure you have Git installed on your computer. That was, if anyone didn't see what I did, that was just git help. And it'll give you all the functions. If you don't have Git installed running, that should give you the command to install it, and then you'll be fine. But where do I want to put this? Well, let's see where I am. Okay. So you're going to want to go to the location where you want to put this. For instance, in my documents folder, I have a whole folder called GitHub. And then in here, yes, I made a folder called LearnJam. So there we go. It is a... That is a test, so... Give me a sec. Just go to the repository, go to the directory where you want to put this. I'm going to make a new directory called LG for LearnJam. Then I'm going to go in it. And here we go. Empty repository. Sorry, empty folder. And I want to put the repository in here. The way you're going to do that is it's git clone is the command. So you run git clone followed by the location of the repository, and it'll copy it in. So where is the repository? Well, if you go back to the website, go to the... Oh, don't go back that far. Just go back to the home page here, actually. Up here in code, you can copy the HTTPS location of the repository. You can see right here, github/my username / the name of the repo .git. So if we copied that and then pasted that in here, so git clone and then that HTTP, run that, give it a second. It says done, and if I look at what's in the directory now, hey look, there's a folder with the name of our repository. Let's say if I list the contents of it, look, there's our license, there's the README, and there's that gg.txt that I made on the GitHub website. You can even look at the gg and see that it's the same text. Oh, I'm on the right folder, so there we go. There's all the random text that we put. So that's one way to do it. And let's now move to the other way to do it, which is GitHub Desktop. So, same sense, GitHub Desktop is going to ask you to sign in, I believe. Yes. So it's going to ask you to sign in beforehand. So if you do that, you'll be in here. And all you have to do to add it is just go up top. There's an add here. Add existing repository. Oh, that's for, sorry, that was for a local one. Clone, so same thing, clone repository. And actually, it has my GitHub account, so here's all the repositories in my account. There's that help. I click clone, and here it is. if we wanted to, and any changes that I make will be here. Here's the commit history of the entire thing. So now I have it in two places. I have it in the command line in one folder, and I have it in my GitHub desktop folder somewhere else. So now what? We're on the computer. Let's say I'm on the computer and I want to make a new file. So for anyone that doesn't know, I should specify that I'm on a Mac. So this is all, these are all going to be all like the Linux Ubuntu commands that are going to work for this. I could slow down if someone wanted to look up like the conversion of the commands, but most of you, if you're at least a sophomore and above, you should have a Linux VM or something like that you could follow along in. If not, just look at the GitHub desktop version. But if you wanted to make a new file in the Linux version of terminal, you could use the keyword touch, and touch would make a new file. So first let me go into our repository. So I'm in help. There's license, there's read, there's GG, and let's make a new file. And we'll just call it, I don't know, tfe.txt. And there it is. And then I'm going to go into Vim real quick and let me add some text into it. There we go. Help me. And if we were to look at this script now, there it is. There's our text. But obviously, we haven't done anything yet. If we were going to go to the website, it's not here. Why would it be? So what we have to do is we have to first add that file to the git commit it, and then push it. So it's a 3-step process. So the way that you're going to add it first is by doing git add. And I could put the name of the file like that. So git add and the name of the file. Let me make this a little, well, let me not do that. Let me try to make it a little bigger. There we go. So git add, there's the name of the file. But another really easy way is you can also just do -a, which will add every file. Then git commit. And like I said, that's going to ask for a message. So that's -m. And say whatever you want. It's going to load, and then it's going to say successful. There we go. It says we changed one file, and that one change was adding a new file, which is correct. And then finally, the last step is git push, to push it to the repository. It'll do some stuff, and there we go. If we go to the repository on GitHub, refresh, look, there's our file. And just like that, that file's backed up on GitHub. Now, what about the other way around? If we go on Git desktop now, again, I have a separate copy of this same thing. If I refresh this by doing that, maybe by doing this, there we go. So this is the other version on GitHub desktop, and you're going to see at the top it says I have one change that I have to pull down. So here's the other version of my repository. Here's help. And as you can see, there is that other file that we created, TFE, that's not here. But that's because I have to pull it. So if I pull, then look back, there's that TFE. So there we go. Now we have 3 copies of the same code, and we're able to pass different files through all of them. And if they're all backed up, we have 3 different copies. But what if we have 2 people working on the same repository at the same time? There's going to be collisions between the 2. If I try to edit the file and you edit the same file, and we both try to push to the repository, we're going to cause issues for ourselves. So to minimize those issues, Git has something called branches. And branches allow to create yet another copy of the same code and allow you to push to that code without editing the other branches. So, like we did before, I'm going to start in the console. And we can list all the branches by doing git branch. You can see git branch brings up our one branch main. It's colored green and it has the asterisk because that's our current branch. But we can make a new branch. So let's make a new branch just by doing git branch and then give the name of the branch. So let's call it, I don't know, we'll call it buy. There we go. If I go git branch, there's now the buy branch here. And the way you switch between branches, for some reason, I don't know why, but the way you switch is by using the word checkout. So git checkout, the name of the branch, which is buy, switched to branch buy. Now, let's make a new file. So again, touch, call it WASD, and let's push this. So again, it's git add, git commit, message. I'll just call this new branch. And then finally, git push. Oh, okay. That's good to know, actually. So this is a perfect example of something that GitHub Desktop does for you that just doing it in the terminal doesn't. When you make a new branch, something like this has to be run, where you push that new branch into the repository. That's something you simply don't have to worry about while using GitHub Desktop because it does it for you. So because of that, instead of our normal git push command, I'm just going to copy this command, paste it, and then it's going to work. And now, once again, if we go back to the website, there's a drop down of all the branches here. You can now see there's 2 branches. Click the drop down, there's the buy branch. And inside the buy branch is that new file ASDF that we made. But what about in GitHub Desktop again? So we click fetch, there's going to be, it's actually already here, even better. So under the branches, after a little refresh, you can see the buy branch is here, as well as the main branch. But what is making a branch in GitHub Desktop is just new branch, name, we'll call it, I don't know, sure, KF. Create new branch, and it's done. No extra command, no nothing, it's already done. So I think the message I'm trying to get is, especially if you have a desktop, you're working with a GUI, GitHub Desktop is so much easier. It does a lot of the gritty work for you. You don't have to do the add, commit, push. It does it all for you. So again, I have this new branch now, and it's going to ask publish. There's a publish branch button. I can click that. That's it. Incredibly easy. If we now go back to the commands now, and I do something like git branch, you're going to see it's not there. So we're going to have to do that git pull. Tells me new branch has been created. If I do git branch, it should have been there. I don't know. I can't explain that. But it does exist, because if we can go up here, you can now see there's 3 branches. And here they are. So that's what you do. If you have someone working on the same file and multiple things, you want to branch those files and let people edit them separately. But now let's say you're done editing them and you need to put it all back together. What do you do? Well, that's the very last functionality of Git, and that is merging. So we're going to do some very basic merges. Again, you could get really into the weeds of this if there's conflicts between files, which one takes precedence. That's all incredibly complicated, and honestly, again, GitHub Desktop does a lot of that for you. So just use GitHub Desktop. But if you wanted to do it in the command line, let's say, there's this buy branch. And again, the buy branch has this extra TFE file. How could we merge those 2 branches? Well, the easiest way is just to switch into the main branch, like that. And we give git branch, you can see we are in the main branch. And all you have to do then is just do merge and the name of the other branch. So if you did that, git merge, and then the name of the other branch. And there we go. Just like that, if we were now to look at the main branch, you can now see the main branch now has this TFE. Same thing here, if we went to the website, went to the main branch now has that TFE file, which before it didn't. And going back to the by branch, nothing's changed over here. It's still here. It still exists. In GitHub Desktop, if you look down here, there's this KF branch, and you can choose a branch to merge into KF, because again, you want to start from the branch that you want to merge into. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to switch back to the main branch, and I'm going to say choose a branch to merge into main, and I'm going to pick the KF branch. It's telling me this is okay. Oh, actually, and I can't do that because there's nothing new about the KF branch. Okay. So I'm going to go to the repository then, and I'm just going to make a new folder and just call it something new. Right? And it was in the right spot. Yeah, call it something new. Go to the KF branch. Why doesn't it say this? Let me make a new file there real quick. So I'm just gonna go to newer. There we go. So we've made something new. We're gonna push it into the KF branch. Push it. Just that, it's that easy. And then from the main branch, we're going to say merge into main, KF merge into main. There's one difference between the two, that being that new file we just created. Create a merge commit, push, and that's it. Now, again, some very interesting conflicts can arise when there's two people editing the same file. It's going to ask you which one should take precedence over the two. In the terminal, that could get messy, because it's going to tell you to specify keywords, and it's going to tell you to do all these things. In GitHub Desktop, if that ever popped up, it would actually show you which code was overlapping, and it would say, hey, this script says this script says this, which one do you actually want to keep? And that's much, much more useful, and it's much more intuitive than trying to do it all through the terminal. So those are the main three operations for Git, and also using it with GitHub, that being committing, branching, and then merging. And looking back at the github.com, again, all those files are here on github.com. They can be downloaded by anyone else. Anyone else can make a copy of them. And that's the glory of it. Again, I recommend doing it for homeworks. I recommend doing it for any game projects, just to make sure if anything goes wrong, you have a copy on GitHub. It's not going to go anywhere, and at any time, you could make a copy of it. Or you could even go back. Let's say you want a copy from 4 months ago. You can even do that, because that's really the glory of version control and why it's so important. And that is the basis of it. That's really all I want to get into it, because that's all you need to know.